everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. I am so excited because this is my very first cooking lesson. So I figured during the whole coronavirus pandemic, we're stuck at home, why not learn how to cook better? Why not learn some techniques, learn how to cook healthy so that we can boost our immune systems up? As many of you kind of already know, I'm actually a student at George Brown Culinary Arts. I am not a chef yet, but I'm working towards that goal. And I really want to share with you something that you can prepare at home. And again, that's healthy. So, as many of you kind of guessed, because this is one on my station, this is rainbow trout. So we will be working with rainbow trout today. Now, we will not be frying this guy, we will be poaching it, which is far more healthy. So the name of the recipe is actually called Rainbow Trout Vin Blanc. So again, we will be using white wine. That's the translation for those of you who do not speak French. So I want to talk a little bit about the equipment that we use in the kitchen. So the most important knife that we have is our chef's knife, or a French knife. That is the most multi-purpose knife. It is great for chopping, and it can be used for many things. The second most important knife is our paring knife, and that is used for smaller vegetables, peeling that is more awkward to use with our chef's knife. Now I have two knives here, and you might think, wow, that's the same knife. But they're not. One is very rigid, and the other one is very flexible. This one is a deboning knife. This one is used to carve a chicken. You want to cut along the bone, you want it to be rigid and cut the way you want it to be cut. This one is to fillet a fish, because again, we can see the flexibility of the knife. So, today, because I know a lot of you do not have these two knives, I'm going to be demonstrating filleting a fish with our chef's knife, which still has a level of flexibility. So I want to talk also about our pots and pans and how important that is to actually get a good pot or pan. So here I have a beautiful, I love this. My sister actually got it for my birthday. I was very excited. It is a creuset. Now the creuset is actually made in France, and it's handmade, and it is cast iron. Again, a lot of people don't understand the importance of a good pot. So because it's a very good pot, because it's cast iron, it's well made, the cooking will be uniform. With cheaper pots, you're going to have some things that are well done, some things that are very raw, some things that are kind of burnt, because you don't have uniform cooking. So I want to introduce you to one of my very favorite mentors, and that is Gordon Ramsay. I'm sure a lot of you know about him, especially his screaming and swearing, but he's an amazing chef, and every recipe I swear to you that I've made has come out perfect, although I'm not sure he will agree with me, because his standards are pretty high. But one thing I learned from the first chapters, he says, even for home cooks, try to buy the very best ingredients, the very best equipment that you can, because it'll really help your cooking. So sometimes, again, if you buy cheap equipment, it doesn't necessarily reflect on your culinary skills, but sometimes the equipment that you use. So, again, going back to our knives, these are actually Henkel. The importance of a very good knife is that it grips the vegetables, it doesn't slip, and it carves it uniformly. That way it cooks all the same way. If you have a cheap knife, it is going to slip. And studies show that if you have a blunt knife, not a very good knife, one is it can cut your hand, and two, it can separate. Here we have, you can see along here, it's called a tang. It can separate from the actual handle. So it's really, again, very important to have a proper knife. It is going to help you, it's going to cut your time in the kitchen, I promise. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about my cousin Elaine. She sells Pampered Chef. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Henkel, Creuset, they are better than Pampered Chef. But that is, you're looking at thousands of dollars if you're looking at the top of the line when it comes to equipment. And if you're not opening a restaurant and you just want a really good product that works, Pampered Chef is going to be your friend. Okay, so let's start with the very first part of our recipe, and that is buttering the pot. So I'm gonna just move this wine a little bit. Sometimes you can use some parchment paper, you can use saran wrap, whatever you're comfortable with. You can use a spatula. I use some saran wrap because, you know, I don't really want buttery fingers. So this is probably pretty good. And I'm just gonna tilt this up so you can see. I'm just gonna butter the bottom of my pan, a little bit on the side. You don't want it to be too thick because, again, you want it to be fairly healthy. So again, you don't really need too much. The next thing you need is your shallot. Now, shallots are wonderful because they don't have this stringent taste of an onion. I'm gonna take myself a beautiful shallot. Wonderful. I'm actually gonna do both of them here, both sides. I'm gonna take my trusty paring knife and just cut off the end. There we go. Throw it into my bowl. Now this end here, which is kind of hairy, we want to keep it because it serves a purpose. It's going to hold everything together so it doesn't just jump all over the place. So we're just going to peel it a little bit now because we don't want this outer skin to be in our beautiful dish. Here we go. And I'm going to do the same, cut the little tail off so he doesn't look like a little tadpole. And we're gonna just peel the skin again because, again, actually, I think the skin's pretty good. I think we can leave it. And I've got this little hairy bit. I don't know if you can see. There we go, a little beard. We're gonna keep it. It's gonna keep everything together. And here we go. So, when you are cutting, the formation of your hand should be, the middle finger should be perpendicular. I'll tell you why. If you're cutting, you can see that you can't actually cut your finger if you don't go higher than your finger, and you keep it perpendicular. These two stay behind, this little guy grips, and so does this little guy. And here we go. Now, I'm not as confident as my chef lecturer at George Brown, who closed his eyes and did it at the speed of light, but I'm going to do my best. So here we go, and we're going to slice like this. I want to really grip. I'm going to move my hand behind so it's safe. Then we're going to start chopping. Now we're gonna do our grapes. Now we need 12 grapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's all we need. 12 grapes. Wonderful. Here we go. And we're gonna cut them in half. Again, we don't need our very cumbersome chef's knife. We're gonna use our paring knife. We're just gonna cut it in half. And our last two, here we go. And we're gonna take our beautiful grapes and liberally spread them out. Wonderful. And this is what our bottom of our pot should look like. Here's our beautiful fillet of fish, and on the other side is our skin. We don't want that, so here is our beautiful filleting technique. We need a paper towel so we can really help for the slippage. And I just want to take some of this shallots so we don't put it into our dish. And we want to cut just so we get to the skin. And then we want to turn it. Can everyone see that? So we want to make sure that we keep our knife as straight as possible so that we don't cut off the skin. And we're going to do a really interesting maneuver here. We're going to kind of twist and cut. Twist and cut. Here we go. Twist. Oh, I need a better grip here on this slippery sucker. Here we go. Twist and cut. 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 It looks like it's slippery, trying to go back into the water because it's kind of moving around. Here we go. Twist and cut. Keep your knife straight. And the proof is in the pudding. Here we go. We'll lift this up. Oh, not a bit of scale. Now we're going to look at the scales. And we don't see too much fish on here, which means you did beautifully. Let's fillet the fish. We got the skin off, and now we want to cut it kind of uniform. Okay, we filleted our fish. Now, when we put it into the pot, we want to actually flip it. So here we have the back side. We want the beautiful side to show. We want to kind of fold the ends in and put them on the grapes. And the reason we do this is because this part of the skin is really thin and it'll cook quickly. So if we fold it, it'll cook more uniformly. And of course, we've buttered our dish. So we need to add our liquid. So we're going to start with some beautiful white wine, and the rest is for your drinking, so you can be so happy when you cook. I might even take a glass, but here we go. So it's about a quarter cup. And here we go. Perfect. Bravo. Now we need our fish stock. Now we need a little bit more than a cup. So I'm gonna just add a cup here and a little bit more. Wonderful. We have our liquid. So the last step before we put it on the stove is we actually need some parchment paper. And I have gone ahead and cut a beautiful square. Now we're going to fold the square in half, and then we're going to fold our square again in half, And then we're going to fold it kind of like a triangle. Here we go. And for those of you who have fond memories of making snowflakes, we can see if we go by the middle that this is a little bit too large. So we want to cut it kind of where the pot is, which is about here. Give it a little bit. There we go. And this, when we open it up, can be a wonderful decorative snowflake, or it can be used as a touche to cover our food. So this is a wonderful item because it doesn't burn, but it allows the food to kind of breathe, and even though it contains the moisture, it gives a little bit of breath to the foods. And we're going to wait until it boils about 5-10 minutes, and we're going to check the color of the fish. It should be kind of a pinky orange when it's ready. Even if it's a little under, that's okay, because we're going to put some beautiful hot sauce over top of it, and it's going to cook it. But if you have it overdone, then it's going to be very dry. So it's better to err on the side of underdone. Okay, so I'm going to lift my pantouche and take a little peek to see how it's doing. And we can see it's actually almost done. Right now, I'm going to take this guy out. Oh, look at how it's flaking so beautifully, because it's nice and tender. It's a little bit of a thinner piece. So I'm going to let these guys cook a little bit more, but you can see they're almost done. Here we go. Okay, we're going to take a little look, a little peek at our 3 other fillets. And wow, this is what you want. Look at it, I can barely take it because it is falling apart. That is a wonderful sign. And we're going to take all the fillets out. And I'm going to actually use this little helper spoon to help me. And we're going to put it all onto the plate. Now we want it to be falling apart. We want it to be so tender. We're going to actually take some of the grapes out as well. Here we go. There's not very many of them, so just pile it on top of the fish. And we're going to take a bay leaf, one. We're just going to bend it in half, and then we're going to take about 3 sprigs of thyme. I love fresh herbs. I'm going to kind of bend it so it kind of fits within the spice bag. There you go, little guy. And you can even break it a little bit so it's even better to fit. There we go. Break it one more time. ingredients, you're gonna see the taste is just superb. And it's gonna come through as very authentic. And I'm just going to tie a little knot here over my bow. Just loop it under. There we go. Nice and tight. And that's gonna be in our white wine sauce. We are going to start with a roux. Now a roux is comprised of butter and flour, but it's very procedural, so follow me. And here we go with our roux. So first we put on the element. We want to keep it about a medium level. And then we're going to put about a 1/3 cup of butter in. Ready. So we're going to add about a 1/3 cup of flour, a little bit at a time. I'm not going to overwhelm the roux. More. The important part is to add it slowly because you do not want to get clumps. You want it nice and smooth. Lovely cream, about a 1/3 cup. Make sure it's all in there. Oh, that's lovely. You can see how nice and creamy that's looking. And turn it down a little bit. Now we're going to add this roux to our beautiful sauce. Very nice. And we are going to just move it around. Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of fish stock. So that's a lovely consistency. Very nice. And it's up to your discretion how much sauce you, fish stock you'd like to add. Now, I have a foolproof way of checking a sauce, and I'll show you how. I just want to stir this a little bit more. Now if you put your spoon into the sauce like this, a wooden spoon, and if you take your finger like this and you go all the way down, you should see a straight line. And if you turn it this way and if you turn it this way, your line should still be intact. And that's how you know that the sauce is perfect. Add our spice bag, and that's going to give it a little bit of It's going to give it a little bit of a freshness. So we're just going to leave that there for a bit. I wish you were here right now because, oh, the smell is just so beautiful. You've got the herbaceousness from the herbs. You've got the beautiful tang from the white wine. You've got the creaminess and the sweetness from the cream, and also the spice from the shallots. And so now we have to add the salt and the pepper. Now a true chef does not just go by teaspoon, we go by taste. So it's better to actually have your spices in a dish such as this. You add a pinch, maybe a couple pinches here, because we do need some salt. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. And white pepper is so important, and it's for very shallow reasons. Now white pepper pretty much tastes the same as black pepper. The only difference is its color. So we don't really want to have dark black specks in our sauce. We want to be aesthetically pleasing, so we'll use white pepper instead. And here we go. Now some people say white pepper is a little hotter. It's not true. It's just because you can't see it, so people have the tendency to use more of it. But it's just really, really important to taste. Now if I really whisk around, you can see that white pepper dissipating. Now, this technique I learned at culinary art school. I used to go through a million spoons until my instructor told me the right way to do it. So this is your tasting spoon. So you dip it into your sauce and you put it into the spoon that you're actually going to put in your mouth. And you want to take it away a little bit so we don't spill into the actual sauce, and taste it. That's delicious. I don't think I need more salt or pepper. Wow, that's amazing. So one of the big oh, that is delicious. Wow. I wish I could invite you all for dinner to come. So one of the reasons it's really important to taste is because every person's taste preference is different. And so if you use a prescribed method, such as salted butter, and by the way, I used unsalted butter because the saltiness and the flavor has to come from your expertise, not from the person who made the butter. So unsalted butter, and you control the amount of salt and you control the amount of spice. And the best way to do that is taste. Don't look at a recipe. We're chefs, we're not cooks. So we want to make it according to our preference. And actually, usually when I taste it, it needs more salt or pepper, but in this case, it is perfect. So I'm just going to actually put it off, and I'll show you how we're gonna compose our dish. Okay, so I'm gonna share a secret from culinary school. Our chefs, our instructors say never, never, never use oven mitts. I know you probably do, and that's fine. But they say that dead skin, sweat, all kinds of things sticks in the oven mitt, and we never wash them. Now for the bed that you're going to lie the rainbow trout on, you can use white rice, you can use brown rice, you can use polenta, couscous, lentils, whatever you desire. I used basmati rice because it is a little bit of an ode to my Indian background. And then I'm going to take this beautiful rainbow trout. I'm going to place it in a very artistic way on top of my rice. Wonderful. Now, this is a dish you can be proud to serve anyone. Oops, we make sure that the front is showing. Okay, the next step, the pièce de résistance, is the sauce. And here we go. I'm gonna add that beautiful, if you could just smell it, you'd be in heaven. White wine sauce all over our dish. That is lovely. Fresh parsley that we can spread on our dish. Also, it is really important, if you want to use lemon to add a little bit of sourness or tartness, you do it at the very end. There's a reason. You do not want to break your sauce. This is rainbow trout with green grapes in a Vin Blanc sauce over basmati rice, garnished with parsley, fresh parsley, and a drizzle of